Muse, what I have to talk about today really isn't aimed towards you. It might come off as... I don't want it to come out the wrong way. But it's something that has to be said. And again, I'm not on a soapbox or a high horse, or I don't consider myself any better than anyone else. And I never have. But I know this is going to come out harsh. And I'm going to try to soften the blow as much as I can. But I've read a lot of books from indie authors. I've been asked to beta read books for indie authors. I've been asked my opinion about books from indie authors. I've recorded audiobooks for indie authors. And one of the things that has struck me the hardest over the time... Now, I'll preface this by saying that within the world of indie artists, there is some amazing creativity and some outstanding ideas. Genre twisting in such a way that could not have been done without the freedom of being an independent artist. And there's a passion for it. Indie artists have this overwhelming desire and drive to do this. And that's a great thing. But at the same time, those artists that I consider hobbyists, I guess, still need to take it upon themselves to be producing the best possible work they can. And that means hire an editor. I can't tell you how many times I've been reading some of these books and maybe assuming when I've handed the books that these are in beta shape. And to be told that they're going to be published as soon as they get my feedback, and the feedback I want to give is that this needs an editor. This is not ready to be published, but it's not my place to dash the hopes and dreams of other artists because I respect them too much. But at the same time, I would beg every indie author out there, if you are not hiring an editor to edit your work, you are doing yourself and your work a disservice. You know, I know writers out there that have the skills to edit. That doesn't mean they should be editing their own work. Because there's no success to be found in that. Because you know how you speak, you know how you write, you know what word should come next in your brain. So when you read it, you don't see it. Now there is a one saving grace, and that is you read it out loud. But even when you read it out loud, you don't know what you're missing in there. Because in your brain, all of the holes and the problems get fixed because you know what you intended to write. And an editor doesn't know that, so they can fix it. And even in a worst case scenario, and this doesn't happen often, but there have been times when I've read the works of indie artists, indie authors, and wanted to say, look, write fan fiction. You have the passion and the desire to do this, but what you should be doing, at least right now, if you're not willing to go take a class in writing, is to start writing fan fiction and learn how to do this. It is my opinion that you shouldn't be learning on the job while publishing, while producing works for people to read. because those are incomplete and unfinished works. And we all have to learn these things. I have learned over the past couple of years. I have learned amazing things, and I learned things that were very disheartening, that I had to then step back and reevaluate a lot of things. And in the reevaluation, I managed to improve everything that I produce. But the truth of the matter is no one wants to look at a fellow artist and say, you're not ready. This book is not ready. I have been privy to editors telling authors that their book wasn't ready. And instead of the author taking that to heart, what they did was they said, to hell with you. They turned around and found another editor that was willing to, for a price, pretty much do a spell check on their book and say, okay, there you go. And I have had editors come to me and say, this needs some work. And I say, okay, well, let's work on it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And, like I said, practice. Find a crit group, a critique group, a group of friends that are of like minds and who want to do the same thing. Gather together and present to them some of your newest work and say, let's critique this and let's tell each other what needs to be improved. In my style, in my process, in my mechanics, what needs to be improved. And I've seen issues across the board. I've seen punctuation, I've seen spelling, I've seen formatting, everything, you name it. And the thing is, you have to remember, is that there are over 10 million books on Amazon. And readership continues to dwindle. And what that means is that there are few people looking at more and more books. So our books aren't being seen. Readers don't know we exist anymore. So it behooves us to consider this. Your book has one shot. A reader's going to get the sample, open it up, and read a page or two. And if it is not the best possible work you can produce, that reader is not going to continue reading. They're going to give up, and they're probably not going to give you a second look. So it behooves you to make sure that you are producing the best possible work you can. And sometimes that means learning some really hard lessons like I've had to learn. Now, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I still, on a daily basis, learn something new. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, across the board, this is hard. Being an artist is a challenge, especially in this country, where there is a lessening of the respect that any art form receives, except maybe music and, well, television and film. I'm totally defeating my purpose there. But all of this to say, you shouldn't necessarily give up at all. And I am not the person to tell you to give up. I am the person to encourage you. Because that's part of what I want to do. I've been doing this for long enough that I can step back and say, hey, do this. Yes. Yeah. Even if it's just a bucket list item, check it off. But do so in such a way that's intelligent and efficient and will, in the end, produce something that people want to read. And that may mean you've got to practice. I practice every day. Practice your craft. And ask people to give to give your work a go through, a read, and ask them honestly, what do I need to improve upon? Don't give somebody a book to beta read, and when they read it and they come back to you, don't have the first thing out of your mouth say, did you like it? Be more constructive and be open to constructive criticism. Because if you're not open to constructive criticism, in this field you're going to be crushed. Either by readers or fellow writers or your editors, you're going to be crushed. You've got to be open to other ideas. You've got to be willing to accept the fact that somebody's going to say, look, you really need to work on your mechanics. You have a great idea. You just need your follow through or your fundamentals just need work. You know, and in saying that, if I say that to you, I'm not saying you suck, give up. I'm saying you have potential. With a little work, you could be really good. And that's how you have to hear these things. You have to listen honestly. And also, you have to, when you're looking for someone to beta read your book, you have to find someone that you trust. That you trust has your best interests in mind. Okay? It's a big world, and there are a lot of writers out there. And we all need to be producing our best possible work. And I want to encourage you. So, take it for what it's worth, I suppose. And certainly don't take it as a slap across the face, because that's not how I intended. I only want to help. Okay? Anyway, Muse, I'm sorry that I interrupted our regularly scheduled conversation, but that kind of needed to be said, and it was not aimed at you. You're perfect. I love you, Muse. Your ideas are fantastic, and we'll keep doing what we do. And that's that, right? Peace out, everybody.